Tonight, have investigators reached a turning point in their frantic search for 5-year-old Haley Cummings?
We were able to come up with several good leads that we are following up on today.
What exactly did they find that might shed light on this perplexing mystery? How is a sleeping child whisked away from a locked home with no apparent forced entry? And the search now focuses on a flood of tips as Haley's family struggles to stay positive.
It's not time to give up. It's still time to look.
Issues starts now. Major breaking news just in moments ago involving the desperate search for missing Florida girl Haley Cummings. A flurry of conflicting reports about 17-year-old Misty Crosland, the last person to see Haley before she vanished. Was she even at home? CNN affiliate WJXT now reporting that authorities are looking into the possibility, based on a lead, that Misty was not at the trailer with Haley. But the lead investigator in the case says, quote, "We have no evidence to believe that Misty, was not home." If the girlfriend, however, wasn't home, this is a huge development that casts a totally new light on this very mysterious case. Misty herself says she was sleeping in the home with Haley and Haley's 4-year-old brother, and police have said she is cooperating fully with their investigation. Also tonight, authorities previously believed Haley had been wearing a pink shirt. Earlier today, they dropped this shocker.
We obtained information through our investigation that young Haley was in fact not wearing the pink shirt as reported at the time of her disappearance.
What's the significance of all of these developments? We will examine that. Meantime, authorities say they have been flooded with 1,200 new tips. They also say they've gotten significant new leads that came from neighborhood interviews.
What we did last night, we utilized a source of federal, state, and local officers to conduct an area canvass, a neighborhood canvass of Haley's neighborhood and the adjacent neighborhoods. We were able to come up with several good leads that we are following up on today.
So what does that say? That this is perhaps not a stranger abduction? Also, Haley's family has some theories of their own as to what might have happened. Haley's paternal grandmother, Teresa Nevis, said this to the CBS Early Show earlier today.
Teresa, where do you think she is?
I think that somebody has her, I hope, inside a house where they at least feed her.
Do you think it's someone that she knows, that your family knows, or a complete stranger?
I don't really know. My son works nights, you know, and I would think that it would be somebody who would know that. They wouldn't come in the house with my son.
So many developments. I am going to take your calls. 1-877-JVM says. That's 1-877-586-7297. But first, my expert panel, Drew Finling, Atlanta criminal defense attorney, Dr. Gaby Cora, psychiatrist, Joe Navarro, former FBI agent and profiler, and Jennifer Bauer, reporter with WJXT-TV. Jennifer, what is your station reporting tonight?
Well, we are reporting that more than 1,200 tips so far have come in to the Putnam County Sheriff's Office, Jane, about this investigation. And we have learned that one of those leads that they are looking into as a possibility is that 17-year-old Misty Crosland, who is Haley Cummings' father's girlfriend, was not home the night the 5-year-old disappeared. Now, again, in the same breath, when we talk to investigators about this, they remind us that they have gotten 1,200 tips, and this is one tip that they are looking into as a possibility.
And I wonder if that is, Jennifer, when they are referring to the significant new leads that they got after talking to people in the neighborhood, if that was the tip that they're referring to.
Well, you know, Jane, up until this point, and we are on day 8, police have not gotten specific with us about those tips and leads. And when I called investigators just about 25 minutes ago and talked to them about this new information, they said, quote, "It is a possibility. It is something we are looking into."
Drew Finling, this is a 17-year-old girl. And again, the investigators are saying at this point they have no reason to believe she wasn't there, but apparently somebody is claiming that she wasn't there and they're investigating it. But at this point, does this young lady need to get lawyered up? She's not considered a suspect, I want to stress that. But it's a 17-year-old girl, the center of a national storm.
Well, on the one hand, she has a concern if she misled officers, and there's a variety of misdemeanors that you can be charged for making a false statement. On the other hand, hey, she's 17 years old. That's, in my estimation, an 11th grader. We have another strange issue, and what is she doing with an adult man living there? Really, she has no custodial issues regarding caring for this child. She's not really looking at criminal charges. If she wasn't there, she may have problems with her much older boyfriend. But in terms of criminal conduct for taking off and going to a party, it's very different than going to a party like Casey Anthony did when your child, that's your child, is missing, and you're an adult that's responsible for her.
What I'm hearing you say, Drew, is that even if this is true, it leads more to a conclusion of negligence or irresponsibility, not that she is responsible for the disappearance of this child in terms of her doing something to the child.
That's exactly right.
Yeah. Let me ask you this question, Joe Navarro. We also hear that they originally thought that little Haley was wearing a pink shirt, and now we're hearing she was not wearing a pink shirt, that they have found the pink shirt that they thought she was wearing. Does that dovetail with the idea that perhaps somebody wasn't there watching the kids? Because if you were there, you would know exactly what the child was wearing when the child went to sleep.
Well, you know, that's a good question, and a lot of times parents will, because they're nervous, the tension and so forth, may not remember exactly what they were wearing. But, you know, I go back to that interview you did a few days ago of the grandfather who said, basically he said, you know, this doesn't pass the stink test. There's so many things that are weird here. Why are we getting information that you know, that doesn't match up? Everybody seemed to have been in that room, and yet somehow this child was magically abducted and nobody heard it. The doors were locked. Nobody seems to know the complete story. There's so many things here that are irregular, which really makes you wonder, what is the true story? Why is it constantly being changed? And why is it being parsed out? It seems like it's being parsed out on a daily basis. Usually when you get a complete, truthful story, it all comes out together at once. You don't get it in these small packets.
Well, Joe, precisely to that point, Misty Crosland, Ronald Cummings' girlfriend, has given many different accounts of where Haley was sleeping the night she went missing. Now, first, I want you to listen very carefully to Misty on the CBS Early Show this morning.
You were the last person to see Haley alive. She was sleeping in the same room as you when she vanished. How far away was she sleeping from you, Misty?
Like 4 feet away.
And how is it that she could have disappeared without you waking up?
I don't know. She wasn't there when I woke up.
She looks like a child in that video. Now, she said Haley was 4 feet away. I want to play you now 2 clips of Misty from last week.
Were y'all in the same bed?
No, she was in her bed in front of the TV, and me and Junior was in my bed. I gave her a little sheet to cover up with, and she fell asleep, and I went come in there and put her blanket on her, and then I laid down.
Gaby Cora, these are not necessarily completely conflicting stories. It's just a totally different description of the same event. However, there have been conflicting stories out there. We heard at one point that all 3 were in the bed together. Then we heard that she and the little boy, Junior, were in the bed, and Haley was in another bed in the same room. I mean, it keeps changing, and that's one of the reasons why there is suspicion about whether she's being 100% truthful.
Jean, there seem to be very conflicting stories around this one story, but the bottom line is that parents are responsible for the safety of their children. And if they leave anyone in charge of their children, they should really be trusting them with their dearest treasures. So this is a very sad and complex story where kids are taking care of kids.
And can I ask you a question, Jennifer? Have you heard this new report that I read? And remember, we get stacks of reports from all sorts of...